Hey there, and welcome over here to this new week of What's for Dinner. I hope you enjoy these meals. They're all easy, budget friendly, and delicious. So like I said, I hope you enjoy them, and let's get to cooking. To get us started off, we're going to be making this lasagna soup, and woo, this one's a really good one. So to my Dutch oven, I'm just adding a tablespoon of this olive oil, and then I'm going to be adding in 1 chopped up white onion. Next, you'll be wanting to add your sausage. Of course, you could use any type of sausage you want. You just want a pound of sausage. I personally like this sweet Italian sausage. I just remove the casings just like this and add it to my Dutch oven. And then I'm just going to completely cook the sausage up and let the onions get soft. Here we have our sausage completely cooked. I did drain out all of the excess grease. I'm just adding our minced garlic in, and you're going to stir this around only for about 20 seconds or until the garlic becomes fragrant. Of course, garlic does burn pretty easily, so just keep an eye on it. Now I'm just adding in my 2 tablespoons of tomato paste along with my 24 ounces of some marinara sauce. Of course, you could use any type of marinara sauce you have on hand or you prefer. You could also use homemade marinara sauce, and that will be extra delicious. Anyways, I just stirred this all together, and now we're going to begin to season this up. So for the seasonings, I'm going to be using about 2 teaspoons of some dried parsley, or you could use 2 tablespoons of fresh parsley. I just didn't have fresh parsley on hand. You're also going to be adding a half a teaspoon of dried oregano, 1 teaspoon of some dried basil. Next, you're either going to be adding in either 7 cups of chicken broth or veggie broth. Then you're going to bring this up to a boil. Once this did start boiling, I went ahead and added in our 8 lasagna noodles. You do want to break these lasagna noodles up pretty small. You don't want them huge because remember, this is a soup. So I just broke them up into smaller pieces like this, and you're going to stir this occasionally and let these lasagna noodles cook completely through. We're going to go ahead and move over to our cheese mixture right now. So into this bowl, I'm adding 10 ounces of cottage cheese. If you prefer ricotta cheese, you could add ricotta cheese, but we actually prefer cottage cheese in lasagna. And then I added a half a cup of some Parmesan cheese and 1 cup of mozzarella cheese. You're going to stir this all together, and this little mixture is done. Here is what your lasagna soup is going to look like when it's completed. You could also add a couple cups of some fresh spinach. I've done that before and it's delicious, but I didn't feel like doing that on this night. Anyways, here's my bowl of soup. You're just going to take a little spoonful of our cheesy mixture and plop it right on top. Of course, I added some more Parmesan cheese on top of that, and then some parsley flakes to make it look pretty. And here is my bowl of soup. This came out really super good. My family was impressed on how delicious this truly was. Now we're making some ranch cheddar crusted chicken. So to begin with this recipe, I have 3 chicken breasts that I sliced horizontally in half. So then it appears like I have 6 chicken breasts. I like to do this, I always say, because it just adds more flavor to the chicken. Anyways, now I'm just beating it with my rolling pin to tenderize this chicken. Now over here to a separate bowl, I'm going to be adding in 3/4 cup of some sour cream. I chose to use the light sour cream because that's what I had on hand. You could use any type of sour cream. And then I added in 2 tablespoons of some ranch dressing mix, and I'm going to mix this all together. I'm just going to set this aside, and now we're going to work on our panko mixture. So to this plate, I'm adding in 1 cup of plain panko breadcrumbs. If you have Italian style panko breadcrumbs, that would also work for this recipe. And then I'm going to be adding in 3/4 cup of sharp cheddar cheese, along with 1/4 cup of some Parmesan cheese and another tablespoon of some of that ranch dressing dry mix. Now we're going to start to coat our chicken, so I'm just coating it in the sour cream mixture and then over to the panko mixture, and then lastly you're going to put it on your cooking tray lined with parchment paper. I do want to mention you could marinate the chicken for about an hour in the sour cream mixture if you have time. Of course, I didn't have time for that, so I didn't do that. I just, dipped it in the sour cream mixture, then the panko, and then stuck it in the oven to bake. This baked in my oven on 425 degrees for about 25 to 30 minutes. Here is my plate of food out of the oven. This really did come out good. I did forget to mention that you do want to flip your chicken halfway through baking. I just served mine with some butternut squash and some quick and easy seasoned rice. Even my little daughter, Brinley, she actually loved this meal. Now we're making some country style baked pork chops. So to begin this recipe, I'm just dicing up one yellow onion into smaller pieces just like this. Now we're going to begin to work on the sauce. So the sauce is actually really simple. All it is about 1/3 cup of ketchup, 1/4 cup of brown sugar, 1/4 cup of water, and a tablespoon of some Worcestershire sauce, or you could use soy sauce, and then you're going to whisk this together. This step is optional, but I did add a little cornstarch slurry to thicken this up. This was just a tablespoon of water with a tablespoon of cornstarch. We do like our sauces thicker, so that's why I added that. Anyways, over to my greased 9x13 baking dish. I'm just adding our boneless pork chops in. This recipe actually called for bone-in pork chops. I just couldn't find any bone-in pork chops at this store. And then you're going to be salt and peppering your pork chops on each side, and then you're going to add your onions that you diced up, followed by that delicious sauce. I just covered this with some aluminum foil and cooked this in the oven on 375 degrees for about 20 minutes at most. I did take the aluminum foil off halfway through cooking. You pretty much just want your pork chops to reach the internal temperature of 150 degrees. They do dry out pretty easily, so just keep an eye on them. Here are my pork chops out of the oven. I just served mine with some mashed potatoes and peas, and Brinley was definitely wanting to say hi. She kept saying hi, so I wanted to show you guys her. Anyways, like I said, these came out really super good. We loved this recipe. Now we're making this tilapia in a creamy lemon sauce. If you don't care for lemon, you could definitely just remove the lemon and add something like basil or just cook it in a creamy sauce. Anyways, to my saucepan, I just added 1 tablespoon of butter along with a tablespoon of olive oil, and I let this get nice and hot. And now I'm adding in my 4 tilapia fillets. You could add more or less tilapia, just depending on your family size. And I'm going to salt and pepper this tilapia on each side, and we're going to cook this completely through. Just a little reminder, tilapia does tend to break easily, so just try to flip it only once while it's cooking, just so it doesn't crumble up into a lot of pieces. Now that our tilapia is all cooked up, I'm just removing it to a separate plate, and I did cover this plate with aluminum foil just to keep this tilapia warm while we work on the sauce. Now for the lemon cream sauce, I just added an additional tablespoon of butter to my saucepan, along with about 4 to 5 cloves of garlic. We do love garlic in this home, if you haven't noticed yet, but you could use less or more garlic depending on your taste. Now that the garlic is fragrant, we are going to be adding in our 1/2 cup of some chicken broth, or you could use some dry white wine. I just don't usually cook with wine. Anyways, I'm going to cook this on my stove for about 4 minutes or until it reduced in size by half. And now I'm adding in my 1/4 cup of heavy cream, and I'm going to stir this together and let it get nice and thick. I am going to be bringing this up to a simmer and adding in 1/2 of a lemon. Of course, if you don't like lemon, you could add in basil, fresh basil, or rosemary, and that would really be good. But here is our sauce. You could add the tilapia back in at this point to warm it through. And here's my plate. I just served my tilapia with some scalloped potatoes. I did make a video on that this past Wednesday if you happen to miss that recipe. Now we're making some Cajun chicken pasta, and oh my goodness gracious, this recipe is just really good. So to my Dutch oven, I've melted down a tablespoon of butter and added a tablespoon of olive oil. I let that get hot, and then I added in our diced up white onion along with 1 pound of chicken breast. And now I'm adding my 2 teaspoons of Cajun seasoning. You could add in more or less depending on your taste. And we're gonna cook this up together. I do wanna mention, if you are a huge bell pepper fan, go ahead and add in a bell pepper at this point. Now that we have our chicken completely cooked, I'm just adding in our 4 ounces of softened cream cheese. I did cube this cream cheese just so it melts down better, and I'm just going to stir it in with the chicken and let it melt down. Now I'm just adding in my cup of milk. I am doing this slowly just so it gets incorporated with the rest of the ingredients better. I brought this up to a simmer, and now I'm just adding in about 3/4 cup of some Parmesan cheese. You're gonna stir this all together and let that melt down. I do want to let you know you could add in more Cajun seasoning at this point and some salt and pepper if you want it extra flavorful. Anyways, I just whisked this together, and now you're gonna be adding in your pasta. I'm just adding in about 8 ounces of pasta all together. Here is my plate of pasta. This really did come out so delicious. This is kind of like a warm, cozy winter meal, in my opinion. I just love creamy pasta. I just served it with a side salad and some garlic bread. And that is a wrap of all of these meals today. I hope you guys all enjoyed them and got plenty of some meal inspiration. But as always, we would love to have you, so go ahead and subscribe down below the video. I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.